Hello, everyone. Is Volkswagen about to introduce a brand new electric minibus into the US market? Maybe. And did Airstream Interstate just introduce a brand new product onto the market that none of us know about? Possibly. And am I going to answer all your camper van questions in today's live stream? Absolutely. Let's get this live stream started. Hello, everyone. How are you? My name's Neil Balthaser, and welcome to the Ultramobility live stream. Ultramobility is your channel all about Class B and now B plus camper vans. So we have a great show going. Hello, Sung Kim. Welcome. I want to say hello to Mercedes Narase if she's joining because she's a new subscriber. Kat Can, hello, Roadtrek. Is there no sound? No one can hear me? Is that for real? No one can hear me. Can anyone hear me? Let me see. Can anyone hear me? I hope people can hear me. Anyways, I have a great show. I'm trying out a different format today. And what we're going to try doing is the first part of the program, I'm going to share just the week that was, what's been happening on Ultramobility. I've been talking to a lot of people. I went out and did a bunch of video shots this week for brand new camper van reviews. And I've got a ton of great reviews that I'm going to be starting to release. I've got the Airstream Atlas. I can't tell you how difficult that has been to find, but I found one. And if you guys want me to release that video as the first one, just let me know in the chat section or in the comments, and I'll release that one soon. I've got every single model of leisure travel vans. So I've got the Unity and the Serenity, and I've got the Wonder ready to go. I've got the Airstream Interstate Lounge and the Airstream Interstate Grand Tour. I know a lot of people have been waiting for Airstream. And I have got, oh, what else do I have? I have the Roadtrek Zion, which is a very popular model. So I made sure I saw that, and the Travado 59G. Now I've done the Travado 59K, but not the 59G. So you guys let me know of those, which one's your favorite or favorites, and I'll be sure to get those lined up in the programming release schedule. Now, this is the obligatory part of the program. Many of you are already subscribers, but I've got to ask you, if you're not, to please subscribe. I am not sponsored on my channel at all. No RV manufacturer is giving me a coach for free. I paid for this coach with my own hard-earned dollars and wrote a check for it. So, well, hello there, Bicycle One. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad that you joined. So the way that I make money is I got to have subscribers. So I've got really aggressive goals this year. I need to get up to 10,000, which I'll hit here shortly, but then 50,000 and then 100,000. You really need to get up to those numbers before you can really make any significant money. So please, for those of you who are subscribed, do me a favor. Share all of my videos with people that you know. Ask them to come to my channel, check out my videos, and if I like them, they can subscribe. So for subscribers, that's what I ask you to do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then please consider subscribing. I'll just make the little subscribe thing magically appear at the bottom there. So with that in mind, let's get into some things that have happened this week and recap some of the things that are going on at Ultramobility. The first thing I'd like to talk about is I did a video on Saturday. I had a lot of fun doing this video, dealing with dealers. And I had a lot of comments from people thanking me, a lot of people coming up with great ideas. Now, Carl and Sandra Bolak recently purchased a 2018 Pleasureway Ascent, and they didn't buy it at a dealer. He brought up to me they bought it at an RV show, the Tampa RV show, and they got a fantastic deal. And so I asked if Carl could just kind of relay really quickly his story. So let's hear from Carl and Sandra Bolak as their experience buying from a super big RV show.
Hi, Neil. This is Carl and Sandra. Just wanted to let you know that because of your help and extensive research, we ended up buying a 2018 Pleasureway Ascent from Grisenni's in Florida, but we actually ended up closing the deal at the Tampa RV Super Show. That's a great place to buy an RV, but you really have to do your homework first because you're so overwhelmed with everything kind of coming at you. They have every RV in the world there. There's all kinds of things going on, so a lot of distractions. But if you go in there knowing your numbers, you can get in there and really get a great deal because they are there to sell. So just wanted to kind of give you my 2 cents worth. Hope it helps out. See ya on the road.
Well, thank you very much, Carl and Sandra Bolak. It is great advice that he gives, and I didn't mention it in the video, but you know, if you go to one of these big RV shows, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the big airline shows that they have where Boeing and Airbus go, but it's all about how many orders that they can take, and each dealer is trying to outdo the other in terms of leaving the show with the largest number of orders. So there's a lot of pressure and you can get a good deal. You have to go in, like Carl says, you got to go in prepared. You got to know what a good deal is. But if you can do it, I mean, he said that he closed his deal in 10 minutes. 10 minutes he closed his deal. And he said I could share this with you, so I'm going to share it with you because I think this will be helpful to some of you. So he did purchase his 2018 Pleasureway Ascent at the Tampa Super RV show, and he purchased it out the door for $130,000. So $130,000 out the door. Their listed price there at the show was $130,000, and then with taxes and licenses and everything, I think he said it was $148,000. So he saved around $18,000. So that's a very good deal that he got. And thank you, John. Thank you, Carl and Sandra, for sharing that. You know, if any of you have stories like that that you want to share, you can put them in the comments on any video. You all know I'm pretty good about answering each and every comment, or you can email me. And I love sharing that out there for all of you who are looking, so you have some idea of what are the types of discounts you can be getting right now in the market. Now, another video that I did a few weeks ago, but it's turning out to be one of my more popular videos, is the Revel 4x4. And in that video, I was talking about how difficult it is. There's a very short supply of the Revel 4x4s out there. And therefore, a lot of the dealers, at least at the time when I did the video, were not offering a lot of discount on the Revel. So I guess things are maybe changing up a little bit. And another viewer, John, is looking at a 4x4. He's looking at the Revel, and he's also looking at the SS Agile, but he's called a bunch of dealers all around the U.S. And, well, John had this to share with us.
Hey, Neil, it's John. I'm just giving you a call about the Winnebago Revel that you were talking about in one of your videos, and wanted to let you know that I was talking with someone May 1st, 2018 at Lazy Days RV in Tampa, Florida, and they had one available for $18,500, and they were also getting some more in, I think, in July or August, and then they said it would be something like $5,000 more if I waited until the next model year later in the fall. And then also in Huntley, Illinois, General RV was offering $123,000, I believe it was, right on the nose, for Revels that they had on order but that were not in yet, but that were coming in July. So if you or anyone you know are interested, feel free to give those places a call, and maybe you can work out a deal. Take care. Thanks for the great video content. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Well, thank you very much, John, for sharing that. So as you could hear in the video, I think he meant to say 118,000, not 18,000, 118,000. So he found a dealer, I think he said Lazy Days dealer in Florida, which was selling one for 118,000. If you wanted to wait for the new model year, it was going to go up 5,000 to around 123. And then the dealer in Illinois as well was around 123. So there you go. It looks like there are dealers who are selling these for under the MSRP. And again, if any of you have uh, any of your own stories that you've heard or you've talked to dealers, please share that with us either in the live chat or in the comments below. And I know other people will find that really useful. Now, for those of you who have just joined us, my name is Neil Balthaser, and I'm your host at Ultramobility. This is your channel all about Class B camper vans. And we're doing our show today where we're just going over the week that was. We're talking about some news that has come in the last week that is about Class B camper vans, and also about some of my episodes that in the last few weeks that I have shot. And then at the end of all of this, if you could hold your questions just to the end of all of this, then we'll have our live question and answer session as well. So keep your questions, make sure that you hold your questions off, and then once we're done with our catch-up piece here, then we'll jump right into all of your questions. Now, heading on over to our next piece. Our last live stream, or maybe the one before that, was about going all electric and generated just a ton of discussions. If you haven't seen it, I'll put the links in on the little cards up here, up over there, over there, after the video is done, and you'll be able to watch the video. So this was a very lively and I think popular live cast. We were talking about what is the state of the art in the industry right now for Class Bs, and we've got Winnebago coming out with their pure lithium 3 built on the Volta system. And then we have the Roadtrek's EcoTrek. Roadtrek's been a leader, a product leader in all of this, and they've got the EcoTrek system. And some of you who have owned or currently own EcoTrek have had some problems, and you were expressing that in the chat and in the video. And so one of the viewers,
hey, Neil,
sorry about that.
John, I'm just giving you.
One of the viewers, sorry about that, John. Give you a little extra airtime. One of the viewers, James Austin III, wrote this into me, and I thought it was important to share. He talks about how perhaps there might be some confusion around how VoltStart works and why some viewers were finding that their VoltStart was starting unintentionally. And so John, while he doesn't, full disclosure, he doesn't yet own an RV, he's been studying and tracking EcoTrek from Roadtrek for a couple of years now. And he says the first thing is that there is an on and off switch in the cab at the driver's seat right around knee level down below. And so if you don't want VoltStart to ever engage, you need to make sure that's off. And that's a good point. And the second thing he says is VoltStart's not just in an on and off system, but can be set up to start for various reasons. So it can, you can tell it start if the battery levels reach a certain level, they get drained. You can tell it to start if the temperature inside of the, well, hello, Josephina Anderson. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to my channel. You can program the VoltStart to start if the temperature inside of the coach gets too high. And finally, you can set a timer. So you can say, well, after 5 hours, I want you to start VoltStart. So anyways, he put some links in. I'm going to put those after the video is done. I'm going to put them in the description down below. These are how-to videos from Roadtrek, and they are very enlightening. I watched both of them. I will say that the videos are also a little bit confusing when you watch them. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe people are reading the manuals and watching the videos, but it is a little bit confusing. You know, you have to remember to do things in a certain order and turn on certain things and turn off certain things. So anyways, that is something that Winnebago is really trying to address with their pure lithium 3, with it's just one button, boop, you hit it and everything just works. But John, thank you very much for that. James Austin, thank you for that. And I will put that those links to those videos in the description below. Now, this next little news item was sent to me by Ben Verneck, and he's been watching my channel for a long time. And Ben sent me a little link about the Volkswagen ID Buzz. I don't know if you guys know about this, but Volkswagen has said that they are going to release a new version of the perennial Volkswagen bus. This is called the Volkswagen ID Buzz. They're going to release it here in North America. I'm going to just go full screen so you can see some of this. Now, this is the concept vehicle, so of course it's not going to look anything like this. But the fact that Volkswagen is going to introduce this, they hope, in the year 2022. This is not an RV. This is just like the old bus, but it's going to be all electric. That's the coolest thing about this. So it will have a lithium-ion batteries as its main power source. There it is. Isn't that great? That was showing it right there with the old one. I think that's a great shot. It will have lithium-ion batteries, and it will have a range of 300 miles. So that's fantastic, the fact that it has a range of 300 miles. Now, Mercedes also has a version of the Sprinter, the 2019 Sprinter, which is all electric as well, but it only has a range of 150 miles, and it's not going to be introduced here in North America. So there's no hopes of us here in North America wanting to have an all-electric drivetrain chassis available. There's no hopes of that coming from Mercedes. However, it sounds like VW is going to introduce that, they say, formally in 2022. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that if that's the case, that some of the RV manufacturers will choose to build on it, just like they choose to build on the Mercedes and the ProMaster and the Ford Transit today, that they'll choose to build on that, because that means that we'll start to have an all-electric drivetrain to match our all-electric coaches. Wouldn't that be the coolest? So thank you very much, Ben, for sharing that with me. And let's look out for it. For all of you just joining, thank you very much for joining. This is Ultramobility's live stream where we're talking about all things camper van every Thursday at 11 o'clock. Oh, I need to let you guys know that next Thursday, my daughter is getting out of school and I've got to take her on a field trip on Thursday. So I can't do the live stream next Thursday. I'm sorry about that. Maybe I'll try to reschedule it for a different time in the week, but I can't do it Thursday. So sorry about that. But today we're talking about all things camper vans. I'm just going to wrap up here shortly with the news and some of the things that I've been hearing in the industry, and then we're going to take your questions. So hold off your questions until the very end, if you don't mind. All right, so that was VW ID Buzz. Now let's talk about part of what I do every week is I'm always talking to industry leaders and CEOs from these companies and big dealers, small dealers. I've got my ear to the ground trying to find out how are certain RVs doing through the dealers. And I heard something from a big dealer, a major dealer, about Corrado. Now, I mentioned, if you haven't watched this video yet, this is my video about quality. All camper vans are not created equal. Again, I'll put it over here once this video wraps up the live version. And I go into a Corrado Axion, and at that time, at least, there were some serious quality issues inside the Axion. I like the Axion, by the way. It's the shortest. It's 17 feet. It's the shortest camper van that you can get here in North America. I just really wish that the quality was higher. And that's one reason why I don't review the Axion here on Ultramobility, is because it's just the quality's not high enough. But so the Carado brand makes the Axion and they make the Banff. You can see them here, the Axion and the Banff, both built on the ProMaster chassis. But anyways, talking to this dealer, and they confidentially told me the last time I had spoken with them, they had a bunch of Corrados on their lot, and this time they had none. I checked their inventory and they had none. And I asked them what's going on. They said, well, they are no longer carrying the Corrado brand, which was really surprising for me. And I said, why? And he said, because it was not selling for them. So I don't know I didn't dig any deeper than that. I don't know if that's just a problem with this dealer, or, it's very cutthroat being a dealer here in North America. And so, if you start opening, new brands like Corrado that are basically carrying the same, basically, they're not, but they're basically carrying some of the kind of existing Roadtrek product, just reconfigured a little bit, then the dealers can get a little bit upset about that because it's, you know, they have agreements with these RV manufacturers to say you can't open a dealer within so many miles of my dealership if you want me to sell. So I don't know what's going on there, but I thought that was interesting, and I thought I would share it with you all. Um, Big news. This is really cool. Hey, David, welcome. I'm glad you've joined me. Thank you very much. This is kind of really cool and important news. Did you guys know about this? I didn't know about this. Airstream has introduced a 19-foot version of the Interstate. Now you can see these rather, sorry, low quality pictures, but that's all that's available. All I could find, these are literally photos taken from a flyer that was at a dealer. These are not currently available. They're going to be coming available. I think they have some, they're taking orders for them now, but it's a 19-foot. So Airstream has the Interstates right now, which are like 23, 24 feet long, very large, very nice. I've got some reviews of them coming up shortly. But this is the size of my Ascent, as you can see there. In fact, the layout of this thing is almost exactly, it's like they ripped it off exactly from the Ascent, with the galley on the passenger side and the bench seat in the back, and then the bathroom on the opposite side. So I'm going to show you a video now. This video is from George over at Prime RV, and they sell Airstreams. And so he did a really quick video. It's the only video I could find anywhere that actually shows us a real live version of what's being called the Airstream Interstate 19. I've heard it called the 19 or the Airstream Sport. So let's take a look at that right now. So again, this is George. I want to give him credit, George Van Sickle at Prime. I put his phone number up here so that you guys can call him. If any of you guys are interested, you should give George a call. Now what's cool is this is going to be built on the 4x4 Sprinter chassis. So now you're going to have another option for 4x4 option built on the Sprinter in addition to the Revel and the SS Agile. But look at that. It's beautiful. It looks like mine, you know. You've got the legless awning. You've got that galley right on the passenger side. And looks very signature Airstream. These are the nice leather front seats here. They've redone. I think it looks, you know, very much like the Interstate. And when you go in, there's your burled wood. Look, real quick, they've got carpeting over their vinyl flooring. So that's kind of cool. It's carpeted all the way front to back with that black carpeting. It's got that screen door. I'm not too thrilled about that screen door. It looks like it's got multiplex wiring. As we head in here to the bathroom, they did some cool things with the bathroom. First of all, they've got the sink. I like the sink. I wish Pleasure would take a cue from this, and I don't like seeing the pipes in my sink. But also, look down, they've got the toilet at an angle, which is really kind of interesting. It gives you a little bit more room there if you want to stand inside there or sit on the toilet. You know, it gives you a little bit more room. There's your kitchen, almost exactly like the Ascent. Corian counters, cooktop, sink there. One flip-up extension beside the stove next to the ottoman. There's not one on the other side. Those cup holders are over the wheel wells. I think that's really smart. Mine doesn't have that, and you really need cup holders in the back of this Ascent, and it's neat that they use the wheel wells to put those cup holders in. There's a wardrobe above the ottoman. You know, I'm not keen on that, but maybe they thought the storage was limited. And I think in a second here, I like the cabinetry. It's very modern. There's that pull-out. Looks like it is positive latching. But the ottomans in this, one of the problems that the Interstate has, and you'll see this in my review of it, is the ottomans jackknife out, which is nice. You don't have to, you know, put a little slat thing in between there to fill it in. They jackknife out and fill it in. But the way the frame is to hold the seats, the mechanics of the jackknife, it creates a there's metal there. And so when you put the bed down, that metal actually protrudes through, you know, it's not level, and you feel it when you're on the bed. So they've fixed that with this design, and you'll see he's going to electronically lower here the ottomans, which is, there they go, which is cool. And then he'll electronically lower the sofa. and then you'll see it'll be a completely flat surface. John says, there you go. So he's putting them together here electronically. If you notice, if you look at the top edge, there's no framing or anything on the ottomans. So that allows the sofa to come all the way in and completely touch the ottomans. And now as he goes down, you'll see it's completely flat. So that's really nice. I'm glad they fixed that. John's saying that the Interstate 19 has a slightly smaller bed at 6.2 and a 2-burner propane stove. So thank you for sharing that, John. So anyways, give George a call. You know, he said that if you put a $2,500 deposit down, he's willing to put it on order for you. So that's pretty cool. That's going to be a new entrant into the market. So now we'll have six Sprinter, short Sprinter options available for us here in North America. Now, speaking about Airstream, I also wanted to talk a little bit about their one of the viewers sent this to me, about their 5-rivet dealership program. Now, I talked about this in Saturday's episode about buying locally and the importance of buying locally. And one of the challenges you can run into when you don't buy locally is later on down the road taking your RV into the dealer for servicing. It's not that the dealers don't want to help you, it's that they're so impacted with servicing their current customers that oftentimes they can't get to. Yeah, John, Cindy and Larry, yeah, he does. I edited his version of that down to just do the good bits. You don't want to see the parts that I edited out, which is where his face is sideways on the screen and he's laying on the bed. And anyway, so I edited out to just the good bits. Anyways, back to buying locally. So if you don't buy locally, then when you try to take your RV into your local dealer, it becomes problematic, challenging for you to get it serviced in a timely manner. Now, Airstream has recognized this. And in addition, this is big news, folks. In addition to building now their own dealerships, I think they have 18, and by the end of the year, they expect to have 22 of their own dealerships owned and operated by Airstream directly. So they're going to be able to control the entire dealer experience and make sure that that experience is up to par and up to snuff with the Airstream brand. This is something that I really wish Pleasureway would do. I've been talking to Dean about it. It's like, you guys got to do this as well. But in addition to that, they have the 5-rivet dealer program for the non-Airstream dealers. So these are the dealers that carry Airstream and other brands on their lots. And what they're doing in a nutshell is they are incentivizing these 5-rivet dealers to work on people's RVs, which were not, if they're Airstreams, which were not bought from that dealer. I'll let Justin Humphreys, Vice President of Sales at Airstream, answer this question and talk a little bit more about it.
We did deal with it. So there's 2 incentives in the 5-rivet program. One's a little bit of a sales kicker. The other one is actually a kicker on warranty rate for non-customers. So we will actually pay them more if they work on somebody who didn't buy from them. So if they come to us and say, hey, this other dealer sold it, it's not fair, I don't want to work on them. It's like, well, we would actually pay you a pretty substantial kicker if you do. So it's addressing the elephant in the room. We'll see how effective it is, but already we're starting to see dealers wanting to have that status. And the other thing on the 5-rivet status, if you're going to be a 5-rivet dealer, the idea of you not accepting service from a non-customer at all is you're not going to be on the program. And we measure that through what customers give us feedback on. We survey customers a lot. So again, we're still early into this, but the 2 ways we address it, you have to service non-customers, and we'll actually pay you more if you do so.
Well, all I can say is thumbs up for Airstream for being innovative on the customer service side of things. You know, you get some RV manufacturers who are innovative on the product side of things, on the van itself, but to see Airstream actually innovating on the customer service side of things really makes me happy. And he freely admits that they don't know how this is going to turn out. It may work well and it may not work well, but I really want to applaud them for making the effort and addressing this very real issue that we have in the RV industry about not being able to get your non-locally bought RV serviced at your local dealership. Now, I agree, Ranchak, all dealers should do that. That's why I'm giving him airtime on Ultramobility. I want everyone to be aware of this, and I would like you to factor it into your thinking when you're looking for your next RV, because this is the way that we send a signal to the other manufacturers that we want to make this standard. We want to see this across the board. Speaking of standards and speaking of things across the board, the one thing that I wish Airstream would do is offer more than a 3-year warranty. Oh yeah, Cat Can. I got to give credit to, and I'll put that in the video down below. I extracted the audio of just his portion of an interview that was being done on another channel. So I will put that link to the full video because it's a good video, and he talks about a lot of other things. But that was just the piece about the dealers taking in non-locally bought RVs. But you're right. I'll put that in the description below. Absolutely. But the other thing that I wish Airstream would do is they need to offer more than a 3-year warranty across their products, their interstate products. I don't think for their brand that that's acceptable when you've got Hymer Roadtrek offering 6 years, and you've got Pleasureway offering 5 years, and then you have Airstream offering 3 years. I mean, even the Regency Exalta that we looked at this week, at $114,000, not $175,000, is offering a 3-year warranty. So I think Airstream needs to address that. I think they need to offer a 7-year warranty. If they want to be the top of the market and charge the premium prices, then I think their warranty needs to be better than Roadtrek's. That's my feeling. It needs to be a 7-year warranty. Anyways, that's my feeling about it. Let me know if you agree with me in the chat and in the comments, but that's my feeling about it. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about a little birdie told me, someone in the industry that I very much respect, and they know what's going on in the industry, that there are 2019 Sprinter chassis. There's a 2019 Sprinter chassis shortage. Okay, so let me give you the little background. So you're seeing here, this is the new 2019 Sprinter. I have a video about that showing what it looks like. You can see the brand new interior design, and then the exterior as well. So this is going to be the chassis that all RV coach manufacturers are going to build on after they cycle through their current inventory of 2018 chassis. Okay, now coinciding with the release of this chassis, I apologize. That is the mother of all technical difficulties. Hopefully, you guys are able to rejoin, but my streaming software here, I'm remote, my streaming software completely crashed, and I had to restart everything. So that stream ended, but hopefully you guys are coming back in again so that you can pick back up where we were. So as I was saying, Mercedes is moving manufacturing from, I believe, Mexico, where it's done today, I'm not sure, to South Carolina. So they built a brand new plant in South Carolina, and they're moving all the manufacturing starting with the 2019 model year. Now what that means, from what I hear, is they are having a difficult time doing the transition and getting the numbers up, specifically getting the production numbers up on the shorter Sprinter chassis. That's the chassis that Pleasureway uses for the Ascent, this van Roadtrek uses for the SS Agile, Winnebago uses for the Revel, and Airstream is going to be using for the Airstream Interstate 19. And so what I've been told, and I think this is, you can bank on this, is that the order numbers across the board for every Class B manufacturer has been cut significantly. Some have been cut by 50%, meaning they're just not going to get their orders that they needed for making that model year for the next model year. Now, what does this mean to all of us? For those of you who are in the market right now, and you're specifically interested in a van built on the short Sprinter, the 144-inch wheelbase, I would encourage you to think about accelerating your purchasing, because my contact tells me that by the last 3 months of this year or so, that's when the supply constraints are really going to hit. So right now the manufacturers still have a backlog of 2018 chassis that they can build off of, but they're not able, none of them yet have any of the 2019's chassis in yet. So they're depleting their 2018 backlog, and soon they're going to be out, and then they'll get just limited trickle supply in from Mercedes. So that will cause most likely a supply constraint in the market. And anytime you have a supply constraint, it means the dealers will just likely not be willing to discount as much, just because there's going to be a lot of competition for those. So put that in your hat. If you're out there in the market right now thinking about it, just be aware that probably within the next 2 to 3 months, you'll want to pull the trigger. And but when after that, as the fall rolls in, you're going to see a dwindling supply of the short wheelbase Sprinter. All right, so that's the wrap up of the week that was here in Ultramobility. A lot of interesting news, both coming from stories that you guys send me. By the way, I rely on that. So a lot of you send stories into me. I check and vet every one of them out, and then some of them make it on this show. So send me your stories, send me things that you're hearing, and I'll continue to spread it out through the live stream with everyone. All right, now it is time for just a free-form, open question and answer, people sharing their ideas and things like that. So I can, put any questions that you have or comments that you have in the chat, and then I'll be glad to answer them. Just for people who are joining, my name's Neil Balthaser, and I'm your host at Ultramobility. This is your channel all about Class B camper vans, and every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, I do a live stream where I catch folks up on things that I'm hearing that are happening in the industry that might affect if you're out in the market looking, or new technologies that I'm running into, things like that. And then I answer viewer questions. I also release a new video every Tuesday, 2 new videos every Tuesday. I do a camper review or a comparison, and then I do a 360. Do you guys watch my 360s? It takes a lot of work to do those, by the way. Like when I record in 360, it literally takes me longer to process, just pre-process all the data for the 360-degree video than it does for me to edit it. I'm not kidding you. So it could take me, for one video that I do, it can take me literally one full day of video processing, like a 24-hour period. It can take me just to pre-process it, stitch it all together, so that I can then pull it into the editor and edit it. But anyway, so that's what I do. And then on Saturday, I try to release a video about buyer guide, buyer advice, and stuff like that. So that's my schedule. I don't guarantee that I do a live stream every week, and I don't guarantee that I do the Saturday, but I do guarantee that every Tuesday I'll release those 2 videos. Okay, let me look back through this live stream here and see what we have here. Will Pleasureway, David's asking, will Pleasureway ever offer an extended warranty for 1 more year? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if they will. It's every time they add a year onto the warranty, it's costly for them. They on the spreadsheet they have to, they make less money basically on every van. So that's a balancing act for them. Maybe one day they will. I mean, that's the answer that I hear a lot from Pleasureway is the best warranty is one that you don't have to use. And I do tend to agree with that, although from a marketing standpoint, people don't want to hear that. People see the 6-year all-encompassing warranty from Roadtrek and the transferable warranty, and that looks better than a 5-year warranty. So I don't know. I'll ask Dean about that and see what his thoughts are. But like I said, I will tell you that I think that anything less than a 3-year warranty is not acceptable. And I'm spending my time in my video reviews now calling out manufacturers that only offer a 1-year warranty. I get so frustrated when I go onto these sites, like, and I'm going to call them out. I'm sorry. I went on to Midwest Automotive site, and was it, maybe it wasn't Midwest Automotive. No, I'm sorry. It was Coachman. I went on to Coachman's site. They make the Gallerita and they make the CrossFit. And nowhere on their site do they talk about their warranty, like nowhere. And I literally had to dig down into the frequently asked questions and go all the way down through. And then there's a little sentence in there that they offer a limited 1-year warranty. And that's just unacceptable to me. I'm like, really? You're going to like not even talk about your warranty? I mean, at least Winnebago, who offers a 1-year warranty, but they just put it right up front, right? They don't make me dig for it, and they don't try to pretend like, oh, if we don't tell you, you think that we have a more than a 1-year warranty. So I'm really on these manufacturers about that, and I candidly, I will never recommend on my channel. I don't care how nice the van is. You will never find me recommending a van with a 1-year warranty. That's just, I won't do it. It's not acceptable, and they could at least offer a 3-year warranty. That's my feeling. The minimum, they should offer a 3-year warranty. All right, let's see, looking on down through. So John says that, John P says that he was told that the South Carolina plant opens in July. Yeah, that's what I hear as well. I also heard from folks, some RV coach manufacturers who have orders into Mercedes, that they have not been told yet. They themselves have not been told yet when to expect to receive the first shipments of their orders for the 2019 model. So that's a little bit concerning. To be expected. I mean, opening an enormous plant like that and all the operations and getting it up to speed, but you can imagine if you're an RV manufacturer like Pleasureway or like Airstream. Airstream builds exclusively on Mercedes chassis. Not having that information about when they can expect the first of their orders to come in, it's got to be a little bit probably disconcerting for them. Edward asks, are slide outs worth the added complexity? Here's the thing. There are 2 camps about slide outs. One camp really loves them because, my parents own a big Class A and they've got 3 slide outs in it. And and it's like a 40-foot RV. And when they put those slide outs out, it literally is. I just was there this weekend at their house and they had the RV, all the slide outs out because we had some guests staying in it. They use it as a guest house. And I walked inside after being inside this van. I walked inside and I was like, holy schmoly. I was like, I could literally get 4 of my Ascents inside of their Class A rig. I mean, it was huge. So a big advantage, obviously, to slide outs, but they can be prone to breaking down and leaking and stuff like that. It's a movable wall going in and out, and you're in an RV that is shaking and vibrating going down the road. Now, my parents have not had any problems with their slide outs. So they have a Tiffin Allegro. They haven't had any problems. But I know some people that will not buy an RV with slide outs. They're doing some interesting things on Class B and B pluses with slide outs. I have a review of the Atlas, the Airstream Interstate Atlas, which has a slide out where the couch is up front. So it gives you an extra 3 feet of space there. And it really does open up the van a lot. And then Leisure Travel had the Free Spirit SS, which was a Mercedes van that had a slide out up front. It's normally where there'd be 2 doors on the van, on the passenger and driver. And so on the driver's side, they just use that door cutout and they put a slide out in, and the bed would slide out, and it was a Murphy bed in a van. And it was pretty cool. Winnebago since copied that design for the Winnebago Era M. So if you want to see that design, you can see it on the Era M. I'm trying to find one to do a review of it. It's kind of cool. But I have not had a personal experience with slide outs. If anyone here has, share it in the comments section and let us know what your experience are with them. RJ Neil asks, what streaming software do you use? I use OBS. That's what I'm using right now. Streamlabs, actually, OBS. It's a beta product, though, which is why we just crashed. So yeah, Streamlabs OBS is what I use. All right, Sandblaster, cute name. Sandblaster says that you love the 360 videos. I'm glad you do. I like them too. Eventually, I want to move over to them just completely, but enough of my audience has to be able to view them before I do that. And right now, over 20% of my audience watches my videos on their TV. And so most of the TVs don't have, are not 3D capable. They're not able to see it. And so I can't release 360 solely for my channel. So that's why I do both. It's double work for me, by the way, to do, because they're literally considered two different videos. It doesn't seem that way, but to do the normal TV version it's like its own episode, because I have to move the camera, because you can't look around, right, on the TV. So I have to move the camera in the 3D space around for you to look at the various things, and it's extremely time consuming. It's called overcapture and overframing, and it's a very time consuming process. So I like to do it, and I do it for all of you guys, but it is like I have to create a second video. Let's see. Let me read down through here. Sandblaster says, at the Tampa Super Show this year, Regency, which is the RV that I reviewed this year, he says, Regency RV said to watch for a Class C model, but nothing on their website. Have I heard anything? And I was impressed with the Exalta. I have not heard anything about Regency at all. You know, they have an interesting background. Go to their site and read about their background. They were in kind of custom builds of cars and things like that for a long time, high end, very expensive. And then he sold the company, and then he recently, I think, bought it back, the company. He's restarted the whole Class B thing, and the Concept One, the Regency, and the Brougham, I think, are their three. Is it the Brougham? Is that a Class C? I can't remember. I need to go back to their site. I need to check it out. I thought their Brougham might be their Class C that they're talking about. Anyways, interesting company. Family owned, out of Texas, and yeah, I found the Regency. I don't think many of you probably knew about it, but when I saw it, I thought, wow, this was a pretty cool, nicely built camper van from this relatively unknown company. I think I need to feature it. So, little shout out for them. Let's see. Do you know if the Hymer 2.0 Loft Edition is capable of carrying solar panels? The last I heard is it will ship with no solar panels on the roof, but with portable solar panels. I think the problem they're running into, and if anyone, like if Campervan guys here, if anyone's here running the Facebook Hymer Actives group, can chime in with latest news. I think the problem that they're running into is that the ProMaster chassis does not have a lot of horsepower. And so it doesn't have a lot of cargo carrying capacity. So when you start adding all these things in, like all the stuff on the inside, and then you start adding solar panels, and then now for them on the loft, they're adding a whole section across the top for the actual loft and all that stuff. You know, it's eating away from the already low cargo carrying capacity. And so I think they're struggling with that, because literally, I think if you were to put the solar panels on the top, you wouldn't be able to carry any more than 2 passengers. No luggage, no water. You'd be out of cargo carrying capacity. So that's obviously not going to work for campers. So by removing that and making it portable, then you can decide as the owner, do you want to have the solar panels, or do you want to carry more passengers, or do you want to carry more cargo? So I think that's why we haven't seen it yet. That's what's happening. Cat Can Says, is it your USP? No one else is doing 360. What's USP? Yeah, I know, no one else. You know, it's a very time consuming, Cat Can to do 360. and it requires different ways that you video. You have to video it differently. You have to untrain yourself, different ways of lighting, and then you have to edit it differently. You have to use special software. It's a very slow process. Like when I do my Saturday videos, which is non-360, that's where I answer questions or I do a buyer's guide video. That's done traditional 4K camera. And I can whip those out like that. I can literally whip those videos out in less than a day. Whereas with a 360, it'll take me, like I said, 3, 4, 5 days. A lot of that is just processing. I have an i7 beefy desktop computer, which will just sit there literally through the whole night and just stitch the 360 video together. And then I bring it into my editing software. And that editing software, it's slow, because it's dealing with really big files that it's trying to move around and cache and all this stuff. So the whole process is just slower. And I think a lot of YouTube creators are just like, I don't want to deal with it. And like I said, if you're doing 360, you can't just do 360 on its own. You also got to do the normal TV version because people aren't just going to watch the 360. So you're doubling the amount of work that you have to do. And I just think most YouTube creators aren't willing to do that. I am. I like doing it. I like to be on the cutting edge. But anyways. So Roadtrek says that when he was at the Phoenix Super Bee show, he asked the salesman for Hymer that exact question. And the salesman confirmed what I just said, that it's portable solar only. Pamela Fitzpatrick's asking, are the beds that convert from a sofa, like I have here in my van, comfortable? Are they like a memory foam bed? Well, here's the thing I want to recommend to you, Pamela. Every bed is different. I've owned 2 different Class B vans, and I've been in hundreds of them. And you really want to, so you want to check for a couple things. Okay, the first thing is check that the bed and the ottomans have memory foam, and it should be 3-inch thick memory foam, not thinner, 3-inch thick memory foam. You want to make sure it's both on the couch and on the ottomans, because you'll get some Class B vans which the sofa bed itself is memory foam, but the ottomans are not. Now think about that. The ottomans are literally half of your bed. Right? They're the one half and the sofa is the other. So half of your bed is not memory foam. Half of it's not going to be as comfortable as a memory foam part. So make sure both of them are memory foam. And definitely lay in the bed. Lay in it, turn around in it. If 2 of you can lay in it and make sure that it's comfortable. Everyone's different. As an example, the Airstream Interstate, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the 2 jump seats they have mechanical hinges. So mine doesn't have mechanical hinges. It's all manual. You have to set some slats up between the 2 ottomans and then put the cushions in. The advantage of that is there's simplicity, and I don't have to have any extra metal mechanical frames and parts and things like that are holding the bed together. Well, hello there, Tim. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. But on the Interstate, when you jackknife those ottomans down, on the sides of the ottomans are metal pieces, and they try to cover them over with some ultra leather, but they don't do a good job. And there's a noticeable difference when you transition from the sofa to the ottoman because of this metal piece that's between them. So you need to check it out. I like the Pleasure Way Ascent. It's the most comfortable bed that I've slept in or that I've tried out in a Class B van. That was one of the criteria that I had when I purchased the Ascent, is the bed had to be comfortable, because the previous van I had, it wasn't comfortable, and it makes a big difference. When you're trying to, a long day on the road and you're trying to get a good night's sleep, it can make a big difference. So look for memory foam on the bed, on the ottomans. Make sure, sleep in it, make sure it feels even, you can move around it, you don't feel the seams and stuff like that. I think you'll find, if you look at, like, for instance, the Pleasure Way, you'll find the bed's very comfortable. Use that as a benchmark when you measure everyone else's. Wally says they went RV looking yesterday. They saw a lot of Class C's with issues such as trim pieces falling off or lying on the floor. Why are B's built so much better than C's? Well, so first of all, eventually I'm going to get into reviewing C's, and they're not going to like that. They're not going to like me coming in to review C's, because I agree with you. They have some real quality issues. in Class C camper vans. Here's the reason why Class B camper vans have a bit of a higher quality level. It's because the market for Class Bs tends to be willing to pay more, a little bit more premium, and so their expectations are a little bit higher than Class Cs. And so because of that, you can't get away with some of those really bad quality issues that you see in Class Cs. I have seen things where the doorknobs are gone from things, cabinet door particle boards are ripped off. Terrible, terrible quality issues in Class Cs. So I can't wait till I get started with the Class Cs, but I'm not going there yet. I'm going to do B pluses first. Speaking of which, I want to let you all know I've got a whole raft of B plus camper vans coming out, reviews coming out here shortly. So I've got the Airstream Atlas, really hard to find, by the way. I found this one on the Airstream dealer's lot, and it was sold, and he was nice enough to let me go in and do a video review. Really nice guy. So I've got that one. I've got every one of the leisure travel vans, the Unity, the Serenity, and the Wonder. I've got those in the can. So let me know here which one you want to see, and that's the one that I'll edit after next week's. That's the one that I'll edit and release out to you. So, all right, that's B plus. Let's see. Have you ever heard rumors about Winnebago offering a warranty longer than 1 year on their Class B era vans? And do you think Winnebago will ever offer longer than a 1 year warranty? That's from Shane Brown. Shane, I don't know. If you watch my series about the different types of manufacturers, okay, what normally happens in any industry, it's not just this industry, but I'm from tech, it happens in the tech industry, the auto industry, is companies will coalesce around one of three axes. They'll either be a price sensitive product manufacturer, they'll be a premium product manufacturer, or they'll be a performance product manufacturer. And each one's and they become the best. And there'll be a lot of other companies which are trying to become, the leader along that axis, but there can only be one. So Winnebago has built their whole company and optimized around being a cost sensitive manufacturer. Now we've seen some things in recent years which indicate that they may be thinking of pivoting, although pivots are really hard to do. Even the best companies like Apple have never pivoted. They don't pivot for good reason. But there's been some indications that Winnebago's may be pivoting or experimenting at least with becoming more of a premium brand with things like the $30,000 Volta upgrade. And for that, they're going to offer an 8-year warranty on just that part of it, of just the Volta piece, the electronic piece of the Travato 59 GL and KL. They're going to offer 8-year warranty. But on everything else in the coach, it's a 1-year warranty. And we've also seen Winnebago experiment with trying to become more of a product leader. Product leaders are the ones that take more risk in terms of introducing new technologies and layouts and options and things like that into the marketplace. You have some companies like Pleasureway who are risk averse. They're conservative and they're premium brand, and they're for good reason, right? So if they're a premium brand, they don't want to create they want to have the best possible customer experience that they can. And so that's a little bit at odds with introducing and throwing out new technologies and things like that into the marketplace. So they tend to be not product leaders, although in some places Pleasureway has become product leaders. But anyways, you see Winnebago starting to do some things like with Volta and some of these other things, all 4-season winterizing of their rigs and things that indicate they're experimenting a little bit with becoming product leaders. But as of this date, today, Winnebago is a price-sensitive company, so I do not see them changing their warranty to 5 or 6. They might experiment like Corrado, and they might do a 2-year warranty, which I still don't think is enough, but 2-year would be better than 1 year. But I don't see them anytime in the near future, at least for, the whole coach offering 5 or 6 year warranty. I just don't see that. Let's see. Black Knight Roughneck asks, just out of curiosity, what is your recommendation to install leveling jacks to a 98 Dodge Pleasureway XL? Wow. I I don't have a recommendation for you. I don't know if anyone here on the channel has a recommendation for you. Do you find that you need leveling jacks on? I don't, I find I never need leveling jacks on my Ascent. I had bought those little things that you put under the tires, are like Lego things to level it, and I never use those either. So I wish I could help you, but if maybe someone here in the comment section can help you, great. I can also reach out to Grant over at Pleasureway and see what his thoughts are as well. All right, let's see. Rantrek says at 5'8", he lays across the bed east to west laterally. And for the most part, I'm comfortable. The Ottomans don't bother me. If you are a little taller, look at the Pleasureway Lexor. They are nice. That's true. The Lexor, the ProMaster chassis are 3 inches or so wider than the Mercedes Sprinter chassis. And so what that means is you have more width this way. And so you can sleep this way more comfortably than you can in the Ascent. So that's a good point. If you're a taller person, you probably want to, and you're still looking for short, you probably want to look at something like the Lexor, because the Lexor has it can accommodate a taller person better than the Ascent can. Ben, you did. I'm sorry, buddy. I did already talk about the ID Buzz. You can rewind and watch it. I gave you credit though, so thank you, Ben Vernick, everyone. He's joined the discussion, and he's the one that turned me on to the ID Buzz. So yeah, we did talk about it, Ben. Let's see. Rudy asks, is the Pleasureway 5-year warranty transferable? That's a good question. I'm going to ask Dean that. I don't know. I don't know if they don't advertise it as being transferable. I kind of be surprised if they wouldn't honor it if a new owner brought it in. Excuse me, but I'll check and find that out for you. Oh, but look at that. The community's helping each other. Rudy says, or I'm sorry, Rantrek says, yes, it is. So Rantrek says it is transferable. You know what? I got to talk to Dean about this from a marketing perspective. They need to tout that more on their site, that it should say 5-year transferable warranty, like Roadtrek does. Let's see. Cindy and Larry Aloha says the Travado should offer the same warranty for their whole coach as their new battery. Wouldn't that be great, right? I agree with you. They certainly need to offer something more than a 1-year warranty. But here's the thing. When you're using stick framing and staples and glue, you're not going to offer any more than a 1-year warranty. You can't. You just, from a cost perspective, you can't do that. So what that would mean is that Winnebago will have to make the decision internally to change their production techniques to not using stick framing and staples and things like that. And that means that they're going to decide not to be a cost-focused manufacturer. That's a big deal for any product company to make that decision. That's a huge pivot. So that's why I'm saying I don't expect that to change anytime soon. I don't expect them to abandon stick framing and staples, and I don't expect them to offer much of a longer warranty than, say, the Corrado, which offers a 2-year. That's just my thinking there. Jay, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name right. Ghosh asks Deal, following up on the Pleasureway seat question, do all Pleasureways have the same amount of cushioning? Yes. Yeah. One thing that's nice about Pleasureway is, again, because they're so focused on the customer experience, they're really pretty good about standardizing things like multiplex wiring, lithium-ion batteries, the material, the fit and finish, the materials that they use, the amount of memory foam that they use on their beds, the thicknesses of them, putting that memory foam on their ottomans, consistent across the lines, whether or not you're purchasing a $160,000 Plateau XLMB or their least expensive Pleasureway Lexor, you're going to get all the same stuff that you would get on the more expensive one. So that's something that I really like about Pleasureway. They're pretty upfront company, and they really try to make the buying experience for the customer easy. So if you go into one Pleasureway and you see color touchscreen panels, then you're going to see it in all of them. It's going to be available on all of them. And they tend to also not have a bunch of options. Options are what you would find on maybe a product leadership company, a company that focuses on performance like Hymer and Roadtrek. They give you tons and tons and tons of options. You want the TV in the back, you don't want it in the back, you want 400, 800, 1200 amp hours of lithium batteries, you want VoltStart, all this other stuff. And so Pleasureway does offer options, but far fewer. And a lot of them are like interior decor colors and schemes and things like that, maybe solar, maybe a screen door, stuff like that. But they don't even list the options on their website. That's how unimportant it is to them. So let's see. All right, Sandblaster asks, why do RV manufacturers use heavy wood for interiors when lighter, thinner plastic or even carbon fiber is a possibility? The VW California XXL seems to be all plastic and it looks futuristic. Well, it's a good question, Sandblaster. Here's what I think the reason why we see certain decors here in North America, like we saw in the Regency. I don't know if you guys watched my review of the Regency Exalta this week. Clearly, if you read the comments, a lot of you do not like the interior design of the Exalta. But the main buying audience here in North America is a little more conservative. They're retirees and folks like that, or semi-retired like myself, and not so much, the younger crowd. In Europe, the buyers in Europe are much younger. They're families, which is why if you go look at their product offering in Europe, you see a lot more family-oriented camper vans. So you'll see things that look like the Hymer Active, okay, where you have the front lounge and the ability to have 2 berths and sleep, 4 people in the camper van. It's because younger families, and because of that, you get the aesthetic of the van is catered more toward that buying audience. Now, that's changing here in North America, and as it changes, then you're seeing things like the Revel, and you're seeing things like the Travado, and you're seeing things like the Active and the Active Loft Edition. And frankly, even here in my coach, one of the big reasons why I bought the Ascent is because I didn't like their traditional wood cabinetry. It's beautifully made. It's handcrafted, all their maple, hardwood, heavy woods. It's very beautifully made, but aesthetically, I didn't want that. I didn't want to be surrounded by that. So I like that Pleasureway's offering, the white chocolate interior, very light, and the curved radius cabinetry, very modern look. I'm going to be reviewing, like I said, the Airstream Atlas and all the leisure travel vans. And one thing I got to tell you is their interiors are very light and very modern. They don't look traditional at all. So maybe we're going to see more of that trickle down from the B plus into the B market, which would be great. Let's see. Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Cindy and Larry. Cindy and Larry Aloha bring up that the Revel 4x4 having a 1-year warranty on a product like that is, not the best idea. And I tend to agree with that. Having a 1-year warranty on a regular RV is not a good idea. But then when you're marketing and advertising and promoting that your product is being used off-road and all the stresses, the additional stresses that it's going to experience off-road, and then only offering a 1-year warranty, that just doesn't seem right to me. They need to get on the game. If they're going to offer a product like that, they need to offer something more than a 1-year warranty. I agree with you there. Lynn's on this in the RV industry. If you're not familiar, the last week's live cast, I featured Lynn, who had a comment about why are so many RVs designed for men and not for women, and the aesthetics of women and the needs of women. And so she's really on it in the RV industry, saying we need to get out of the Flintstones era and into the George Jetson vibe. So stay on them, Lynn. I'll do my part too on my channel. I'm kind of like a voice piece for all of you. So when I talk to the CEOs of these companies and the vice presidents of sales of these companies and things, I take what I'm learning from all of you and I take it to them. and I talk to them. And people like Dean at Pleasureway listen. Dean's great. You know, I can pick up the phone and call him, and he'll take my call, and he's been very good about answering all of your questions. So, you know, anyways, I'm there for you, and I agree with you, and I'm taking the same message to them as well. All right, let's see. Ranchek says, I love the lighter and blonde interiors. Dark is boring. Yeah, you know, it seems like it's like basic interior design 101, but when you're in a small space, you know, you don't want darker colors. You know, my Ascent has darker colors, but I also have a lot of windows, as you can see in here, to really brighten it up and make it feel open and airy. But some of these vans that you go into, not only do they have really tiny little windows, but then all the wood cabinetry and everything's so dark, and it's just depressing to be in. And then they don't put enough lighting in. That's a big thing I want you guys to look out for as well. Uh, some of the vans recently that I've reviewed some have had good lighting and some have had bad lighting, and so look for the lighting. Make sure, pull all the blinds down if you're outside when you look at it, and turn on all the lighting, and make sure that it's bright enough, because you can always dim the lighting or you can shut off banks of lighting, but it's almost impossible to add more lighting if it's too dark. My last RV that I had, I learned this. It was just darker, and there's really not much I could do to at night make it brighter. Not much I could do. In this van, it's very short. I mean, you can't see, but I think I counted, I have 16 LED lights in this van and different banks, and I can dim them and all stuff like that, but I have plenty of lights. Compare that to, let's say, the Hymer Active 2.0, which is bigger than this van, and it has three or four ceiling LED lights. It has some other, reading lamps and stuff like that, but I have 16 spotlights in here, and the Hymer Active has like 3 or 4, so that stuff's important. All right, Jay Gosh asks, can you talk about financing? What credit score do you need, and what debt to income ratio, and how much down payment do banks like to see? I feel that this is an often missed subject in the RV world. I'm probably going to do a video on that, Jay. The last 2 RVs that I bought, the first RV that I bought was $130,000, and I put $80,000 down, and then I financed the $50,000. So that's the other thing, just how much do you want to put down versus how much do you want to finance. And I did that through Bank of America, and I got a pretty good, I think it was a 5-year. I didn't finance it like a home. You can find some banks that will finance it as a second home, so you can get those monthly payments down. But I didn't. I just did a 5-year. I think my credit score, was fine. Obviously, the lower your credit score, the more you're going to have to put down. A lot of times the dealers will also help you. Like if you get to the point where you actually have signed on the dotted line and they can smell the money, and then suddenly they try to find financing for you, and they can't find the financing for you, they will hustle. They will use their Rolodex, and they will call all their banks and credit unions and everything to get you the loan, because at that point they don't want the deal to fall through. So the dealers, the finance departments, a lot of times here will also really work with you to try to get you the financing. This Ascent that I'm in, I didn't go the financing route at all. I just bought it all cash, just because I didn't want. So I sold the Roadtrek, and I pretty much used the proceeds from that to buy the Ascent cash. So it just depends on. It shouldn't be a problem, really. I mean, if you got pretty good, okay score, you just need to decide how much do you want to put down and what do you want your monthly payments to be. Okay, Renchik says, go to the Travato Owners and Wannabes Facebook group and see how many of the owners are women, and a lot are older retired women and solo drivers. Great point, Renchik. So Lynn, you might want to check that out. That is Jody's group. Jody's camper van guy. He's a subscriber here on Ultramobility, and he runs the Hymer. He runs the Hymer Active Owners and Wannabe group, but there's also a Travato one as well. And Lynn says, yes, the ladies are awesome on Facebook. Loads of respect, but I'm going for a whole different interior scene. Let's see. Yeah, Lin says there are not many females working on the interior design, and are unfortunately many are vetoed. This is mainly a male field, but we're trying. Yeah, the whole industry is old boy network male field, unfortunately, but hopefully that is changing. Um, so, yeah, I agree with you there. If we would have more women, uh, just in general in the industry, let alone as a CEO of a company. Wouldn't that be great to have a woman as CEO of one of these major RV manufacturers? But just in the design process, even in the sales process, customer service process, I think all of us would benefit from that. Chess Climber is asking, are you seeing or hearing anything regarding price increases because of steel and aluminum tariffs? Thor's suggesting headwinds because of it. Thank you for reminding me. I was going to report on that. Thor Industries, for those of you who don't know, they're the largest RV manufacturer in North America. They own Airstream and a bunch of other brands. And Thor just released, their public company, they just released their statement yesterday, and they did fine. But the CEO was saying, or the CFO was saying that, as Chess Climbers pointed out, they fully expect that because of aluminum and steel tariffs, that their costs of, they use a lot of that obviously in their RVs, that they're going to have to raise the price on many of their RVs. Now, to answer your question, Chess Climber, excuse me, I haven't seen that yet. And if I could get on the phone with someone at Thor, maybe I could ask more of a question. Maybe I'll try to do that. My channel's just not quite big enough to get return calls from some of these RV manufacturers, but I'm getting there. so I'll see if I could get some answers on that. But yeah, between these tariffs, which are taking effect and affecting our industry, and if you're looking at the Sprinter, and what I reported earlier, that the new plant opening in South Carolina, they're cutting the orders. Those of you who are in the market right now looking, just put that bee in your bonnet and think about what is the right timing for you to go out, because you probably can expect that the prices are going to start increasing because of the confluence of both of these things. That's just my feeling. Ben Vernick says, have you ever seen a ProMaster that has been converted to a 4x4 in the United States? I couldn't find any companies that do this. I have not. I haven't heard of it, and I haven't seen it. And I don't know if possibly it's a problem with ground clearance. I don't know on it. It's a good question, but if anyone has here, any viewer or subscriber has, then chime in here and let us know. Yes, Cindy and Larry Aloha says that their stock, Thor's stock, dropped significantly right after they announced that the tariffs might be affecting them. So we'll see. It's all got to play out. So we'll see how it goes. All right, other questions. Ben, just for you, because we don't have questions right now, but just for you, here's what I had up for VW. We were just taking a look at just some concept art for the ID Buzz. And again, for those of you who have maybe joined, Volkswagen has announced that they are officially going to reintroduce the Volkswagen bus here to North America. And they're going to do that in 2022. But what's really exciting about this, and what you're seeing are pictures of the concept vehicle, is it's all electric. So this will be all electric drivetrain, and it will have a 300-mile range, which is pretty good considering that the Mercedes electric Sprinter only has a 150-mile range. So this will have there you can see it with, I love seeing it with the old VW bus. My best friend had one of those, and we'd take it around all the time to the beach and other places. So so once they introduce this in 2022, then hopefully some coach manufacturer will buy it and convert it into a camper van. Wouldn't that be great? So thank you, Ben, very much for sharing that. That's a good find. Appreciate it. So Ben says that they do the ProMaster, which is called the Ducato. They do the Ducato in Europe on a 4x4, and so that's why he's surprised that they haven't done it here. Maybe they will, Ben, because the Revel is so popular here. Maybe maybe ProMaster will say, you know what, we should introduce it here. It could also be they can't pass certain regulations here in the United States. I don't know. I'd have to research it more. Let's see. Rinderjeet, is that how you pronounce your name? I'm not sure. I apologize. Are there any manufacturers that will do custom work like extra installation, 4x4, etc.? Well, so 4x4, I believe you can find custom shops that will do aftermarket 4x4. It ain't cheap. It's pretty expensive, but I believe you can, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that you can find shops that'll do that. Now, the extra installation, that's a little bit trickier because if you already have a coach like mine, putting extra installation will mean that you're going to have to be yanking out the coach build out in order to put that installation in. And that certainly will void your warranty with the manufacturer. I don't see why it couldn't be done. Like if you go to like Sportsmobile or any of these shops, there's Outside Van, and they do custom builds. Why they wouldn't be able to do that. I just don't know how cost effective it is versus just going to them in the first place and designing your ideal van with 4-season and 4x4 capabilities from the ground up exactly the way you want it. I don't know. I'm going to try to do a tour of the Sportsmobile factory. It's here in Northern California. And so I'm going to try to do a tour, and I'll ask that question when I'm there and see what they have to say. Vix asks anything about Advanced RV. I had no news about Advanced RV. Is there something in particular, Vix, that you're asking about Advanced RV? We'll wait for Vix. Lynn says, when you get a chance, view the VW Westphalia. Yes. So those of you who don't know, in Europe, Westphalia is the official company that converts the Volkswagen vans, the chassis, to camper vans. So they're the official conversion house for VW Westphalia. And they make some beautiful, beautiful conversions in Europe. Unfortunately, we don't yet, and Ben, you can chime in here, we don't yet have Westphalia distributed here in North America. So there's been some rumor that they brought a California, a California, VW Westphalia California on tour here recently. And they let all the magazines and car magazines and RV folks camp in it, and test it, and drive it around the country. And there's some speculation that they might have been doing that to test the market here, to find out, is there a market for a true camper van like they have in Europe with the loft and all that here in North America. So that would be cool. You know, that would be cool to have another coach manufacturer from Europe come over here and bring all that design goodness over here, and to have a little bit more choice. So if anyone's heard anything, Ben, I think you might have heard something, or you might be thinking something, then share it with us here. Kim Henry asks, you may have addressed this already, but would you advise holding off on purchasing the Travato with the Volta system until it has been out for a while? Yes. Yeah, I would. I'm a little bit more conservative than some people. We got cars pulling in left and right here. The Volta system is, it's complex, and it's a big change for any RV manufacturer. If you want to see how complex this stuff is, Roadtrek, I applaud Roadtrek because being a product leader like they are, Roadtrek came up with the EcoTrek system and the lithium-ion banks and huge solar arrays and underhood generator and all that stuff years before anyone else. But it's been difficult for them. They're still struggling to perfect the system. You can go read online. I did some reports about it. The complexity of just how the users use the system. They have to make modifications to the engine compartment and put things like remote start in, and then they have to put in secondary alternators in the engine, and these alternators, because they're pulling, like in the case of Volta, they're pulling 6,000 watts off the engine into the alternator. and that has needs beefy serpentine belts and things like that that have a tendency to slip and break. I mean, even the Fit RV, they were in a prototype unit that Winnebago had given them to try out, and they had problems with their secondary alternator underhood generator. The belt slipped or broke or something like that. So yeah, so I would recommend, look, let it come out a little while, and let's see, let them work out the bugs in the system. And then I would recommend, looking at it. It's an expensive option, just so you know. It's oh, hello, Will Flucky, Real Flucky. Welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for subscribing. It's a $30,000 option. Mainly that's because they have I forget, it's a 8,700 watt hours of battery banks or something, lithium battery banks. So, but yeah, because you're spending that amount of money, let some of the early adopters, buy it and work through some of the problems. That would be my recommendation to you. Ben's asking, speaking of insulation, how can you tell if a van is well insulated? That is a good question. It's a hard question to answer because all the insulation is, it's all behind stuff and under the floors and behind the walls and stuff like that. One way you can tell is, well, there's a couple ways. So one way you can tell is sometimes the coach manufacturer will post videos showing their manufacturing process. They'll either highlight, if they think that it's a marketing point, they'll highlight how well insulated their vans are. So that's one thing, so you can see it. The second thing is occasionally, like if you go to these Facebook groups, people will take tours when they go to these RV manufacturers like Hymer and leisure travel vans and stuff like that. And they'll post pictures of the manufacturing process. And sometimes you'll catch a glimpse of the van right as it's moving before the cabinets are being installed. And you'll see the insulation that's in there or not. And so I do that a lot. I'll review videos from Winnebago and others where they're showing their manufacturing process of a particular van, and I'll rewind and I'll look and I'll see, oh, they don't have any insulation in there, or oh wow, look, Roadtrek's actually using spray foam insulation, which is really cool. And then some van manufacturers will literally, like Midwest Automotive, they will tell you that they use like R4 or something like that in addition to some other insulation, and then in addition to professional grade sound insulation as well. So they'll literally tell you that on their site. But I'm hoping if I get this Wallabot thing, I don't know, maybe it'll show me. I got to get it. They haven't sent it to me yet, but this is the scanner for your phone that it's an X-ray, it sees behind the walls and you can see all the stuff behind the walls. So maybe something like the Wallabot will also allow me to see. And if it does, then all of you can take it with you when you go look at your vans. Dr. Who Geek says, why do you think the Revel is so popular? That is a great question. Dean Rumpel and I had a chat last week on the phone about this, and I think there is a market clearly for the Revel. Now the question that we're all asking is it a niche market or is it a real market? Is it a market segment, a sustainable long-term market? And is it big enough? The jury's out on that. So right now we're seeing so what's happened, and this has happened to me in the video game industry because I worked at some video game companies as well. So what's happened for Winnebago is sales of the Revel took them completely by surprise. They had no clue that it was going to be, the demand level was going to be as high as it was. So that's exacerbating the problem of getting a Revel. And it's looking like, oh, it's really, really popular, which it may be. I'm not saying it's not, but their production numbers for the Revel were pretty low. And so what that's causing is a lot of backlog and shortages. So what we have to wait and see is we have to go through kind of this first year, and we have to see really how many units of the Revel did they sell. And once we've sold through kind of that early adopter pent-up demand from the people they're selling to right now, then we'll determine, is that a niche market or is that a real market? And I don't even think Winnebago necessarily knows right now, as evidenced by the fact that their production numbers for the Revel were quite low compared to the demand that came in. So I think we're gonna have to let that all play out. There's no doubt that there is a younger audience who is interested in the Revel and is buying the Revel. There's no doubt about that. Something else to consider. Sorry if I get into the business stuff, but this is what I do in Silicon Valley is I analyze and do strategy. So the other thing to consider is if this market turns out not to be a niche market and turns out to be a younger kind of millennial buyer. Not saying that there's not also baby boomers buying the Revel, there are, but I think there's a tendency to believe that a lot of the market demand for the Revel is millennial. If that turns out to be the case, then when the next market downturn happens, and it will happen, the first they're going to drop out of the market are going to be the millennials, not the baby boomers, not the people that are retired that are already don't need to work and they've got their money put away and they're living the retired lifestyle. So products that cater only and directly to that audience will suffer and be eliminated. We saw that happen in the RV industry before, by the way. This it goes through cycles, and we saw this happen before. And we saw not only all of the major RV manufacturers, except Pleasureway, shut their production lines down because there just weren't any buyers for their products, but many of the RV manufacturers went out of business. So anyways, these are things I think that we have to wait out to see how it plays out and find out what the real market looks like for the Revel. I just think it's too early. I love talking about this stuff because I love the business strategy stuff about stuff. I like this. Let's see. Winnebago Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Kevin Leadestech, welcome. Says, Winnebago has stated that the R values of the floor, ceiling, and walls lately. That's great. I love the fact that Winnebago is stating that stuff for all of us. The R value tells us what is the amount of heat absorption or loss that's happening through a window or a wall or something like that in their vans. Also, I believe, who just said this? Cindy and Larry Aloha said that the Fit RV, go check out James and Steph at the Fit RV. And James is he's a tech head like me, and so he's got an infrared gun where he actually points it all over their Travato. They go up camping up in the mountains where it's really cold, and he points it all over the Travato to find out where the heat loss is, so you can see for yourself for their Travato where there was heat loss. Roadtrek says a lot of manufacturers will only insulate the roof, but rely on dead airspace for the walls and doors. Yeah, I know that at least I saw that on the Hymer Active, it looks like they're using spray foam insulation, which is really nice, all up and down, completely up and down the walls and on the floors, which is pretty nice. I checked my Ascent, and my Ascent has, the residential type insulation in the wheel wells and stuff like that, and then also the carpeting. They put carpeting over the wheel wells, and that also helps in the winter keep the heat in. I was surprised. I went into a $170,000 Airstream Interstate because I'm going to be reviewing it and releasing it here shortly, and the wheel wells were plastic and were exposed, and I was really surprised by that, considering the amount that they're charging and the fact that their brand is about quality. So when I see stuff like that, it makes me just, I don't know, a question mark goes off in my head about, well, if I'm seeing that, what other corners are you cutting with insulation and stuff like that? I have nothing to back that up, but that's where my mind goes anyways. Let's see here. Oh, lots of you are communicating with one another. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Ben Vernick says it's more likely that we'll get the Mercedes-Benz Marco Polo since the Metris is already here. For those of you not aware, the Marco Polo is the Mercedes-Benz Westphalia camper van. It's very upscale. Yeah, so go on YouTube and search for the Mercedes-Benz Marco Polo Westphalia, and you'll see it's basically an upscale Volkswagen Westphalia, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a standard height Mercedes van, kind of like the Metris, and it's got a pop top on it, with a loft up there. But when the pop top's down, you can park the Marco Polo in your garage. And I think it's got a refrigerator. It's got everything, I believe, Ben, right? I don't think it has a toilet. I don't believe it has a toilet in it, but it's got a little kitchen, a galley and sink, and refrigerator, and a little cooktop, and things like that. But it doesn't have a toilet. So, okay. Let's see. Sandblaster says, what sources are good for RV manufacturer news, like numbers and statistics? Yeah, so go on to classbforums.com, classbforums.com, and you'll need to have an account there. Create an account, it's free. And then they have an ongoing thread. I forget what you have to search for, but it's basically every month they report for Class Bs a breakdown of each manufacturer and what their market share is and how many units they sold and all that stuff. So you can find that. It's an ongoing thread, and every month it's updated. The last I checked, for Class Bs at least, Winnebago was still #1, although Hymer was nipping at their heels. Hymer is really trying to knock the crown off Winnebago and take the crown from them. So I think Winnebago had like 35 or 33, and Erwin Hymer was up above 30. And then Thor Industries with Airstream had around 20 or something like that. And I think Pleasureway, they don't list Pleasureway because they only do the top 3, but I think Pleasureway has around 10 or 15% or something like that. What's really interesting is, if you think about it, like most industries which have matured, the Class B segment, 4 manufacturers control over 95% of the market. So between Winnebago, Hymer, Thor, and Pleasureway, well over 95% of every single van sold is by those guys. So I want you guys to also think about that, because that means all the other manufacturers, Coachman, Coach House, Regency, Midwest, all these other manufacturers are all fighting for that 5% sliver, 5%. So you and I both know that all those companies can't be in business fighting for that 5%. It means some of them are eventually going to drop out of the Class B market because they're just not going to make any money in it. So you just need to be thinking about that. If you go to, when you start looking at coach manufacturers like Regency and these guys, that, they dropped out once before and then they came back in. And the same for some of the other coach manufacturers as well. So just be aware of that. All right. All right, do we have any other questions? Or are you guys just happy? Looks like, I love it. You guys are all chatting amongst yourselves, which I love. We're building a community here. Jenny Ray asks, any reviews or opinions on the leisure travel Class B plus vans? Canadian made, looks high quality and beautiful inside, but hard to find in the Pacific Northwest to walk through. You are in luck, Jenny. This week, I spent the entire week videoing about 8 or 9 new vans. Almost all of them are Class B plus, and I videoed every single leisure travel van that they make. Not every configuration, but I have video reviews of the Wonder, the Serenity, and the Unity. And so why don't you guys let me know, because I'm curious. So here's all the vans that I reviewed this week, and I got to decide how to release them. So I've got the Airstream Atlas. Okay, the Airstream Atlas is the brand new B plus, $200,000 B plus from Airstream, built on the cutaway chassis. I've got the Airstream, both the Airstream Grand Tour and the Lounge EXT ready to go. I've got the leisure travel vans, Wonder, Serenity, and Unity ready to go. And then I've got the ever popular Roadtrek Zion. And I can't believe I missed this one all to this date, but I've got it ready to go, the Travato 59G. So you guys let me know which ones of those you want to see released first. They'll all be released eventually, obviously, but you let me know which ones you want to see released first, and I'll get them out to you. Okay. Rantrek says, I'm currently focused on Pleasureway and leisure travel, and I really want quality all around and hopefully a limited amount of warranty work to get the rig up to speed. Yeah, well, then you're looking at 2 of the best rigs that you should look at, Rantrek. Those Those are high quality rigs, and I think you'll be happy with either one of those. See, Lin says, new information, Japan has started removing most bathing and cooking facilities in their models. In the EU, smaller models will start following suit soon. Hope we don't. That would be a little much. Yeah, I agree with you. Once you start removing stuff like that, it's not a motor home anymore. It's a car with a sink. I don't know. A car with a bed, I guess. At least according to the RVIAA, those would not be considered motorhomes. Those would not be considered recreational vehicles here in North America anyways, if they tried to do that. Dr. Who Geek's asking, will you do a review of the Nissan Envy in the future? Yeah, I got to call them. I haven't contacted them. I did. I think I just got something back in my email today because I sent it last week. So yeah, I want to call them and see if I can go do one. I definitely want to do a review. In case some of you don't know, the Nissan Recon Campers is converting the NV200 van from Nissan. It's a very small, regular height van. They're converting it into a pop-top camper, and they're going to start selling it on Nissan lots. By the way, I talked to Dean about this. Dean's excited about Recon Camper as well, but he's a little concerned about Recon's strategy of selling through a car dealership. He said other RV manufacturers have tried this in the past and without success. And part of the problem is that the car dealerships, they're not RV dealerships, so they don't know anything about how to sell an RV. And so for them, it's just about selling the van piece of it, not about selling the RV piece of it. And so they don't actually make a lot of sales. So I wish best of luck to Recon Camper. Maybe they can figure out how to do it. It's certainly a good relationship with Nissan and all their dealerships across here of North America. Let's see. Steven Stringer says, any thoughts on the Safari Condo's M18MX? For those who want a smaller van, can't find much info on Safari Condo other than on their site. Yeah, so Safari Condo is out of Quebec, Canada, where I lived. And that's how I got turned on to Safari Condo. So this is a very small family operation. I actually saw them at a Montreal RV show. They actually were there, and I got to go through all of their vans, which was cool. So this small family operation, they build on the ProMaster and they build on the Mercedes Sprinter platform as well. They're not a custom house, so they have set floor plans that they have for each one of their products. But they build them kind of custom in the sense that because they're a small shop and they're family owned and operated, like their wait list is like a year if you get your order in it. And you have to buy your own van, kind of like Recon Campers. So you buy your ProMaster or you buy your Mercedes and then you ship it up to them. And then they do the custom conversion up there. Yeah, you can see on their site they have a bunch of different models. They make a short version. I think you're talking about on the ProMaster. Is that the one, Stephen? They make a short version on the ProMaster, which might come in at 17 feet, I believe, much like the Corrado Axion. So those are the two of the shortest camper vans you can get here in North America. The Corrado Axion and I believe the Safari Condo, that short one that they make. They both come in at 17 feet, which is really short. It's 2 feet shorter than this one that I'm in, which is 19 feet, which is already short. So yeah, go check them out. Very few videos on YouTube, but if you dig around on their site, you can find some things. You can find some French-speaking videos on YouTube as well, which give you some look and feel of them. They're kind of cool. Stephen Avery asks, can you purchase an extended warranty for the Mercedes Sprinter like you can for their cars? I don't know. I don't imagine why you couldn't. I don't have one for my Sprinter, although, by the way, I've got my first major servicing, what Mercedes calls Service A, for my Sprinter, which is 30 days past due. I think I'm a little in denial. I don't want to take it in because I've had a couple Mercedes prior to this, and Service A, Service B, Service C, they're very expensive. So anyways, I'll take it in and I'll report back to you all the damage report of what it costs for me. So I don't know about the extended. I'd have to try to find out about that and see if they offer an extended warranty on the Sprinter chassis. Jenny Ray, you're welcome. She says, I made her day and can't wait to see my reviews on the leisure travel. All right, then I will put a tick mark up for leisure travel vans. Anyone else has an opinion? Leave it in the chat. Oh, there's one. Dennis Linden saying he wants the Zion SRT. All right, good. You guys, I'll tally it up at the end and I'll go with whatever gets the most and then the next most and the next most. All right. Jennifer Harris asks, if you decide to upgrade, will you sell me your Ascent? I've had a lot of people ask if I would sell my Ascent to them. I love my Ascent. I don't know what van I would get if I didn't have this Ascent. I don't know, but if I do, you all on my channel would be the first to be able to call dibs on it. Let's see. Does the Airstream 19 only come in 4x4? I don't think so. I have to check on that. I'd be surprised. I think it's an option. I'd be surprised. It's not like the Revel, which is targeted toward, the outdoor adventurer type. If you look inside the Airstream 19, for those of you who just joined, we took a look. Airstream just introduced a new shorter version of the Airstream called the Airstream 19 or the Airstream Sport. It's the exact same size as my van. You can see it here. Oops, I got a call coming in. Sorry. That's not professional. Sorry about that. But it's going to be available in a 4x4 option. They're taking orders for it now. It's very limited. The dealer said they don't expect for deliveries of this to happen until 2019. But you can see it here. It has almost the exact same layout as my Ascent. So that's what he's talking about. And he's asking, is it only come in, Steven's asking, is it only come in 4x4? And I don't know. We just don't have enough information. Let's see. Another person, Sheila, says they'd like to, the Zion SRT, check out the channel on Carry on Vagabond. They're traveling in their Zion ST full-time. A little plug to Carry on Vagabond. Go check out their channel. Ben Verneck says, I've heard the Axion is marketed towards single people. Think this is also a niche market? It's not only marketed towards single people, it's marketed toward younger people and women in particular. So that's at least my understanding of the Axion. Again, for those of you who don't know, Corrado, new brand coming from Hymer here in North America. Corrado makes right now two vans, the Corrado Axion and the Corrado Banff. The Banff is built on the 19-inch length ProMaster, which is the same length as my Ascent, and the Axion's built on the shorter 17-foot ProMaster. So it's 2 feet shorter than even this short Sprinter van that I'm in. And yeah, so my understanding is they're marketing it towards single people, toward younger people, and also toward women. So I'm not reviewing it because, like I said earlier in the stream, I just don't believe their quality level's up high enough, and I don't think I could give it a fair review. I have been watching it, just so you guys know. I haven't just written it off completely, but for the last 6 months, I've gone into dealers and I've looked at it, and I'm trying to gauge, is the quality level improving or not? And it is, but it's still not at a level where I feel I could feature it and recommend it on my channel. They need to continue to step it up a little bit. And when it does, then I'll do a review on my channel. Bye-bye, Cat Can. Thanks for joining me very much. Dr. Who Geeks votes for the Atlas. She would like me to do a review of the Atlas. All right. Well, listen, if there's no more questions, then I am going to wrap up this live stream. I want to thank you all for joining me. I love doing these live streams. Again, next week, there won't be a live stream on Thursday. My daughter's last week of school, and I'm taking her on a field trip. If I decide to do it another day during the week, then I'll let you guys know. Did you guys get the event announcement? Did it work this time? Someone said it did, but I'm hoping that it did. So anyways, if I decide to do a live stream next week, then it'll be another day. It won't be Thursday. Other than that, I will see you then after next week with another live stream. So thank you very much, everyone. I enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.